that all you
さ
got?
て、次の映像が
Hold
最後
on.
の情報です。
Come
そ
on!
れではどうぞご覧ください。
Crisis Core Remakes an L.
What we've done, that's set in stone.
Shut up.
The past is forever. But the future, even if it has been written, can be changed. So focus on the future, not the past.
He wants to finish what he started. He wants to reclaim his birthright and rule over the planet with Genova at his side. I saw you lying there. I figured it was too late.
Wait, what are you implying? That I died? That I'm some kind of imposter?
Get Nibelheim, man.
You were here with me 5 years ago. Where are you? What happened to you?
I'm trying so hard to find you.
Sorry. Feel like I failed you.
Rebirth. Okay, at least we got a teaser. Next winter! It's... Alright. That's something. We got something.
ファイナルファンタジー7リメイクプロジェクトの第2作目に
I need to look at that in
ファイナルファンタジー
better resolution.
を
'Cause it looks like shit in the stream.
現在チーム一丸となって鋭意制作中です。そしてリメイクプロジェクトの発表時から複数作にわたって展開することをお伝えしておりましたが、
Three-part series,
リメイク、
as I
ファイナ
expected.
ルファンタジー7リバース、そしてその先のもう一作の全
Okay.
3部作で完結することをお知らせいたします。まずはファイナルファンタジー7リバースを楽しみにしていただき、ぜひ本プロジェクトの完結までお付き合いいただければと思います。
Oh, there's a lot to talk about
25周
there.
年も
We'll get
そ
to
れ
it.
以降も皆様にお楽しみいただけるようチーム一同尽力してまいります。本日はお付き合いいただきましてありがとうございました。
Alright, at least we got something good at the end. Yeah, I liked the look of the world of Part 2, plus voice acting seemed nice too. But we'll have a look at it, There is a bit of a concern I have though, so we'll get to that. See you in a sec. Alright, so we're back, and we're gonna check out the actual trailer now that a proper version has dropped. I mean, I don't know where to start with this, honestly, because I'm gonna be honest, I've kind of got mixed feelings, and it's not because of this trailer. I mean, kinda, there's a bit at the end, but we'll get to it. And I don't really want to poison the well, but I've got some concerns, and it's actually not because of the reasons you might think. It's not because of the changes to the story ending of the first part, because some of the dialogue that Aerith says at the beginning actually kind of alleviated concerns I had about that. It's actually what I predicted, or at the very least what I was going to say, particularly in my critique. It will come out eventually, don't worry. I will get on that. Might get back to doing that soon after this. But it was a thought that I've always had in my head, and I've always sort of verbalized to other people when they were talking on this matter. But she said it's plain and simple that what has been done in the past now can't be undone. So defeating the Whispers, as pretty much like you've removed Fate out of the picture. It's gone. It's just gone. So there's none of this. There's no takey backses. You can't just go back and say, oh well, we'll try it again. No. So that means if there's any like decision that is made, if any characters die, if any characters suffer, if there's any major losses to the heroes, if towns are destroyed, if, you know, civilization changes in a way that was far different from the original, in a negative way, like there's more bad shit that happens, That can't be undone. I think that's a good thing, because it's going to keep the stakes there, but they actually have to do something with that. You can't just leave it as is, right? You've actually got to have some consequences that come because of that. Obviously, the heroes are probably still going to win in the end, because of course, it's a Final Fantasy game. Very typical fantasy stories. Very easy to understand in that. Well, I don't want to say easy to understand, but quite cliche, I guess. That's not a derogatory term, that's descriptive. It follows the cliche type of fantasy story you expect. Anyway. But it's some stuff towards the end of this trailer, and something that is related to a particular remaster/remake trailer that released before this, that has me a little concerned, and we'll get into that. So, without further ado, let's start this off. So I don't know, should I just play it through once more, or should I just... No, we'll analyze it slowly. Right, let's go. Alright, so let's look through this, and we'll just do it slowly, I think, step by step. So, we start off with Midgar, but like, let's listen to what Aerith says at the start, because I just mentioned it.
What we've done, that's set in stone. The past is forever. But the future, even if it has been written, can be changed. So focus on the future, not the past.
Yeah, so, Aerith being the continuous optimist, as usual. That's what she's known for. Should have feather dropping at the beginning there. I don't know if that's just them doing visual stuff or if it actually means anything. I guess we'll see. There's also these like little text elements that show up here are interesting too, because there was one that came a little later which confused me. What will become of the planet? I mean, that's pretty straightforward. If the future isn't set in stone, then we don't really know what will become of it. So, already, I mean... So this is Nibelheim. There's Mount Nibel in the distance. I guess I was curious to see how they were going to remake that, considering the fact that it looks a bit weird in the original. It looks very sharp, jagged, and just strange for a mountain. So, I guess that's what it looks like. But yeah, I mean, pretty neat so far. It seems like this is... I mean, I think we see Sephiroth walking towards the right, so... It looks like there's something on the floor. We'll talk about it in a second. But I mean, I just want to try and analyze this, because, like, even a little bit. Because you have to remember, if... I'm thinking of this in the frame of the original, of course. Because what else can I compare it to? And you just think about how simple the original looks. Like, they don't have a lot of foliage, and they don't have all of these just extra bits of the environment around. I can't word this correctly. I'm stumbling on myself. Like the lampposts, for instance, or the like the power pylons in the background. If you see it right in the distance, you're probably not going to be able to see the mouse at all because it doesn't seem to show up on OBS. I don't know how to change that. But yeah, like just the lampposts and the power pylons in the distance. I mean, even stuff like that, it's just showing that, yeah, this place, like Nibelheim as a town, and the world as a whole, has an infrastructure. And it's one of the things that I was thinking about in terms of, like, roads and highways and stuff that lead outside of Midgar. Because in the original game, when you leave Midgar, it's just green plains. I mean, there's some, I mean, it's kind of craggy and sandy and dusty just outside of Midgar, but when you get a little bit further out, especially when you're heading towards Calm, there's greenery everywhere. You know, it's very lush in that. So I'm very curious to see how that looks. But here it's... I'm losing myself again. What I meant to say is that it can't just be green everywhere. It can't just be grass. There has to be roads. There has to be buildings and small towns around everywhere. There's got to be places where people are living, people are doing things, there's got to be farms, there's got to just be stuff in the world. There's got to be more than just nothing. Case in point, think about, if you've played the original, think about Wutai in the original. Now, we are led to believe that Wutai is, I mean, I suppose a superpower to a degree, but we know that they're supposed to be strong enough or have enough influence / resources to contend with the likes of the mega corporation that is Shinra. But in the original game, it's just a small Japanese-centric town. Like, it's small, figuratively speaking. It's pretty small. And it doesn't look like they have any advanced tech or anything of note. Like, if Shinra wanted to, they could just sweep through that town in about a week. If that. Now, I assume that was just because of the limitations at the time, and that Wutai is actually way larger than that and spans a much larger area. It kind of is on its own little island in the original game, so I assume they might populate that area out. Remains to be seen. So, and we might see that sooner rather than later, because, as we got confirmation, there will be 3 parts of this. Now, that helps me with my critique, because now I know how I think the game might be structured. I'm still going to go with my... I always assumed it was going to be 3 parts. It just seems appropriate. And I think I'm going to hold to my theory on that, but I'm not going to mention that here. So, I mean, yeah. I think this is going to be on Unreal Engine 5 as well. I mean, fucking hell, I'm just thinking about it now. It's like, this game is probably going to be fucking big. Because if there's only 3 parts, you've got to get through a lot in part 2. And maybe that... Right. I'm sort of... Now that I'm thinking about it, we'll get to it later at the end of this trailer, but some of the dialogue towards the end I might be a little more optimistic about, considering the fact that the second part covers a lot, and it might cover the part of the game where that line of dialogue towards the end is mentioned? You'll see what I mean. I know I'm confusing the fuck out of you. I apologize. I'm bad at this. Okay. So, I want to stop and start here. Do you see that towards the bottom there? Like, just around the grass? Is that? I think Materia's there. Sephiroth's gonna walk up alongside here.
What he started.
No? Wait, I swear I saw Materia somewhere. There's something towards the ground there. It's like a little purpley haze. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just lighting.
He wants to finish what he started.
It might just be lighting.
He wants.
So Sephiroth's here. He's probably not going to be playable. Because he's not playable in the original during the initial Nibelheim sequence. So I'm curious. I mean, fighting alongside him is going to be cool. I just assume... I mean, I'm just trying to wonder what he's actually going to do. I mean, I guess it'd be cool to play as him for a little bit. It's probably not going to happen, but... Heyo! Anyway. Large open spaces. I like it. The skybox looks dope. The environment looks dope. It's, you know, some of the smaller elements of foliage, they're not going to look as good as, like, the Last of Us 2 levels or anything like that. Or your God of Wars. Or even your Red Dead Redemption 2s. They're not going to look quite that detailed. But then again, it's still subject to change. This is... I mean, it's releasing in winter 2023, assuming it isn't delayed further. So we'll see.
To reclaim his birthright.
No, I want to listen to Cloud's dialogue, actually.
Not the past.
He wants to finish what he started. He wants to reclaim his birthright. And rule over the planet with Jenova at his side.
Yeah. Right, that seems pretty... Yeah, seems standard so far. What is Sephiroth saying? Fuck if I know. We're not gonna figure that shit out until like 6 years have passed beyond this point. Who knows?
I saw you lying.
So we are entering Nibelheim here. I'm hoping that the game just doesn't feel that limited. Like, there's such potential for a massive amount of exploration here. I mean, certain sequences like Nibelheim here, I can understand being just somewhat linear for the most part. It kind of is in the original. But, I mean, just exploring around, just running around a larger area in the open world for the most part, I mean, surely that's gotta feel open, right? I might be a little cynical and black-pilled after part 1 is, you know, kind of linear. I mean, it's mostly linear, what am I saying? I mean, the original Midgar segment is also way more linear than the remake is. So, and yet, the original game opens up massively once you actually leave Midgar. So maybe my worries are a little misplaced. It'll probably be fine. Also, I feel like they did a good job with the hair.
I figured it was too late.
Maybe.
Wait, what are you implying? That I died? That I'm some kind of imposter?
Oh, I want to check that shot out. So I assume... Yeah, this about makes sense. Yeah, because Nibelheim town, which is in the little crater over there, the little valley, I assume... Like, because I'm pretty sure in the original it was always quite low. It was always quite low down. I'm wondering just how open this place is. I think the best thing to compare this to will probably be Final Fantasy 15, but I haven't played that game yet. I'm gonna have to. And I don't really know how open it is, but... I mean, I'm just thinking of... I've seen, like, gameplay from it and visuals of the world, and it's like, that game looks pretty open, for the most part, so... That's sort of what I'm comparing it to. Alright, and we get some of the flash forwards to that scene. But we've seen that a lot in the first part. This is it. This is what I wanted to bring up. This is what confused me when I watched it the first time. What is fact and what is fiction? So, I assume... I mean, do I want to get into spoiler territory here? I mean, people watching this probably know the story of FF7, the original game, but then again, someone watching this might have only played Remake Part 1 and might not want to know. So, I don't know if I want to go into it, really. I think I kind of have. I mean, I'm probably going to have to if I'm talking about the end of this, and I probably already have. Fine, fuck it. We'll do it. Right. So, the revelation you realise for the original FF7 is that at around... Basically, at around the Whirlwind Maze in the Northern Crater, Sephiroth starts to allude that Cloud is not really himself, and he's not... he doesn't... You know, he's almost like fake. I think the assertion, to my knowledge, is that he is a clone, a failed clone of Sephiroth, who has transposed some form of, like, memories from when Tifa found him at the Sector 7 station in Midgar, which is where he was first left off after Zack died, and he picked himself up, recovered, just struggled to get into Midgar, ended up there, and just sort of lost his mind, kind of. And from that point on, he sort of took Tifa's ideal version of what she wanted Cloud to be, and he transposed that on himself to basically create a false persona. So it is him, it is his memories and his experiences, but he has a warped perspective on things. And I specify it's him, because there are some people out there that think he has Zack's memories. No, he doesn't. He does not have Zack's memories. That would bring up all kinds of plot holes if that was true. If that was true, Cloud would refer to himself as Zack Fair. He would know Zack's parents when they meet them at Gongaga, and he would say, "Hey mum, hey dad." He doesn't do that. He would know who Aerith is beforehand. He would try and act suave and cool around Aerith as opposed to his, rather awkward and introverted self. He would be a completely different character, and he wouldn't refer to himself as Cloud. He doesn't have Zack's memories. He just basically removed Zack from the story and put himself in that position. He misremembered the events of his past, specifically around the Nibelheim situation, and to his knowledge, Zack never existed. And he took Zack as inspiration for what he wanted to be. So, yes, his mind is playing tricks on him, but it's not because he has someone else's memories. It's because his mind is just fucked up, and he has a lot of personal issues to, get through. So I assume that's what this is referring to? It could also be something to do with Genesis, I don't fucking know. Let's hope it's not that. But then again, if they are remastering/remaking Crisis Core, then it seems like they're gonna include Genesis in some manner. But we'll talk about that. Trust me.
You were here with me.
Right, so this is where I had concerns. So we've only seen Nibelheim from this teaser so far. This is where we had concerns. So we see this feather falling again. We see Zack carrying Cloud to Midgar. Let me just play it.
5 years ago.
You were here with me 5 years ago.
Where are you?
Where are you?
What happened to you?
I'm trying so hard to find you.
Sorry. Feel like I failed you.
So this is where I was concerned. Now we know that Zack's alive, ideally in an alternate timeline, but I'm concerned at some of the lines of dialogue here. This all has to be in an alternate timeline, right? I mean, first off, they are close to Midgar here. They're outside, I think that's Sector 6? I think that might be the Sector 6 gate, or I don't know. I'm not sure which sector. I think this is 6. Because of the exposed plate. I think this is 6, which would make sense. It's close to Sector 5. He would probably head back to Aerith if he got back here. I mean, that's a story in of itself. But, so the first concern here is that Cloud is saying, you were here with me 5 years ago. Wait. 5 years ago. So I guess he's referring to... No, right, see, this is where I'm getting confused. You were here with me 5 years ago. So he's referring to Nibelheim. Where are you? In the original game, Cloud doesn't know that Zack ever existed when he's going through his mental troubles. Basically, and all the time from the beginning of the original game to Mideel, before he, fixes his memories. Or sort of, jumbles them back together. Repairs them, pretty much. He didn't know Zack existed. As far as we're aware, Zack wasn't a thing. All of the events in Nibelheim took place from Cloud's perspective, and were all of his experiences. And we find out that most of those experiences were also his, but he also sort of pushed in a bunch of stories Zack told him about the event into there and sort of created a third version of events. Not Cloud's version, not Zack's version, but the false version. Again, bringing it all back to the Cloud didn't take Zack's memories part, that's not what happened. He created a third story based off of his own experiences and the information Zack gave him about the event when they were headed back to Midgar. That's what happened. But here it seems like he's implying that he knows who Zack is. Unless he's referring to someone else? Maybe it is a red herring. Do you think he's referring to Tifa? That might be possible, actually. Let's play it again. That would actually remove a lot of the concerns I have.
You were here with me 5 years ago. Where are you? What happened to you?
I'm trying so hard.
I don't know. No, I don't think. Nah, I don't think that works. I don't think that lines up. Because they met. They've already met in part 1. I don't think that lines up. Also, side note, I've always hated that Cloud has those pauldrons and those gloves because they're the same as Zack's, but he doesn't have them in, you know, in the story, in the main story of FF7. He just doesn't have them. Why not? Well, like, did he get rid of the gloves specifically? What's wrong with the gloves? They don't look damaged. What about the pauldrons? They're not damaged either. He replaced them with, like, scrap metal and some different gauntlets. I've always had an issue with that. Like, why not just have him not have the pauldrons and not have the gloves, and it was just the uniform that Zack, you know, put on him? And... okay, my brain is fucking deleting itself. Can't even think. There's so many things flowing around. And why didn't... so you could have Cloud just scavenge a bunch of scrap from the slums of Midgar and he puts his own armor together. That's what I assumed that he did, but I guess we never know. I don't know why he'd get rid of that, the armor he has on currently. Right. So obviously this is the same shot as the end of part 1. So this, because I always assumed that this is just Zack and Cloud walking towards the, like, the edge of Midgar. But I guess not. I guess this is... sorry, on, like, the cliffs outside Midgar. I think you know what I mean if you played part 1. Because that's literally the shot at the end of part 1. So this doesn't line up. But yeah, like, he survived the fight, is injured a bit, and then he took Cloud back, so fuck knows what's gonna happen there. So let's bring it back a little. Yeah, I'm not sure about the Cloud line. I really don't even know what to make of that. He shouldn't know anything about Zack. Unless this is an alternate timeline, which wouldn't make sense either, because he's here with Zack. He wouldn't be saying that. He would not be saying that. But I guess he would still have his mental issues, but Zack would be there to verify the events. He'd be there to help him through it. So... oh, this game's fucking confusing. The original's confusing. It's all confusing. My word. But I kind of have some concerns about Aerith's line here.
Where are you? What happened to you?
I'm trying so hard to find you.
So who's she referring to? Is she referring to Zack? Because if so, I have issues with that. Now, what I was assuming, and I wasn't sure how to think about it at first, because we didn't really know how many parts of the game there was going to be, but if there's 3 parts, and this is part 2, obviously, then this is probably going to take up most of the game, part 2, potentially. And I was always of the perspective that it might end at the, like, after the Whirlwind Maze. So after, you know, after Cloud is basically, you know, mind-fucked by Sephiroth, you find Sephiroth's, like, true form in, like, the little crystal that he's housed in. Cloud is forced to give the black materia to Sephiroth, who awakens Meteor. The Northern Crater crumbles in, and the weapons crawl out. All of the heroes, including the Shinra group, with the exception of Cloud, flee off to Junon, and they just sort of chill there for like about a week. It's like absolutely the low point of the story, because it happened, you know, it occurs after the whole City of the Ancients thing. Like, this is where you feel like shit in the story, because everything wrong is happening. Everything is going wrong. So, I mean, what is it? Murphy's Law? Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's pretty much what was happening at that point. I'm getting off topic, I'm sorry. So, if that is the case and it ends around that area, that means we will get the Golden Saucer date. Now, I assume that Aerith's line here is from the Golden Saucer date, because she says, I think she just said here, I am looking for you, which is very similar to, I'm trying to find you, which she says in reference to Cloud. And yes, that scene is canonical, so that's the one I'm gonna go off of. Now, I was always assuming, based off all the information I've got, that she's basically she knows that Cloud is trying to be someone he's not, and she's like, look, that's not who I care about. Purge that side of you, because that side's in the past. I want you. I want you here with me. So if that's what the line is referring to, that's another red herring, just like Cloud's line here, which could also be a red herring, but I'm not sure. But if she's referring to Zack, I have problems with that. Because unless they're seriously doubling down on the fact that Crisis Core made Zack into a bit of too much of an altruistic Gary Stew-esque figure, when in the original he was a jock. Like, he was a good guy, he's a hero, but he didn't really seem to care about his relationship with Aerith. If he did, he wouldn't have cheated on her with other women. And the thing is, I think it's Maiden of the Planet, Aerith is aware of that, and she scolds him on it in the live stream. When he tries flirting with her, she's like, well, you've been with so many other women. You're a terrible lover. You know, like, you haven't earned a chance with me. You lost that chance years ago. Because, you know, Zack was... They basically had, like, a high school relationship, or at least that's what it used to be. And the idea is that Zack took her for granted. She was looking for something more. He really wasn't. Because, you know, he was a flirt. You know, he's suave, he's extroverted. That's what Zack's like, that's what he does. And that's fine, I thought that made him interesting. That Zack and Aerith are not the endgame couple. They are not the endgame couple at all. And it was just, you know, it was one step in developing Aerith's, you know, like, her relationships with other characters. And it was basically, like, she was naive. It was her first taste of a relationship. Because most people didn't really give a shit about her. So, yeah. It's clear she didn't want to go back to that. And as far as part 1 was concerned, they made that pretty concrete. But she is interested in Cloud's awkward, introverted, shy side. She likes him for who he is, for being soft but honest. You know, and he's not trying to be, you know, some super hyper charismatic flirt. Like, you know, she likes the soft guy, right? Now, I'm kind of concerned that they're not gonna do that. I mean, if this is an alternate timeline, I guess it's not so bad. As long as it, you know, doesn't correlate with the first. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if it is an alternate timeline, they might be trying to appease shippers as a whole. Now, don't get confused. I am not arguing this from a shipper perspective. I'm arguing this from a story perspective. I don't care about the ships. I don't. I care about the story, and I care about a well-told story that is consistent, doesn't have gaping plot holes or contrivances, which the remake kind of does in places, but we'll talk about that during the critique. But like, I don't have a necessarily vested interest, but I will say that based off all my time playing the original and all of the compilation stuff, that I do really love Cloud and Aerith's romance, their relationship. And some people tell you that it doesn't exist, or it's just Zack, or it's like nonsense, it's all bollocks. And I feel like, you know, the whole Zack and Aerith relationship is almost overdone, and people try to throw that in front of Cloud and Aerith's relationship and tries to remove that. But that is a topic for another time. And trust me, that topic needs fucking just dissecting and finishing and ending and dealing with, because it annoys the fuck out of me. Because here I am, I just want to enjoy story and characters and journeys, and I have to get embroiled in fucking shipping wars, and I hate it. But I am concerned that they are doing this just to appease shippers, as opposed to just making a consistent story. So that's where my concern lies, if you're curious. You're probably not even listening to this. I don't blame you.
Sorry. Feel like I failed you.
I don't know who Zach's referring to there. Alright, so didn't show much, but I talked about it a fuck ton. And it comes out next winter. I guess these are just a bunch of trailers and stuff. Yeah. Alright, so... Fuck me. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. And a lot of, the things I talked about here, I guess I'll divulge on my own when I talk about the remake during my critique. And the second video that I'm going to work on in regards to the remake, which might be related to a certain topic towards the end of this video that I went onto a massive digression about. And something that needs to be put to bed. But yeah, that's basically my take on it. All in all, hopeful, and I'm just glad we got an announcement of Part 2 here. I mean, I know we kind of expected it, but I was getting kind of doubtful. You know, I was getting kind of doubtful towards the end, because it was like 10 minutes, and they showed a bunch of stuff that I wasn't really interested in. I thought they were going to end on the Crisis Core remake, which would have been an issue. Also, Crisis Core does a lot of damage to the story, but that's a topic for another time. Trust me, that is a take I'd be crucified over, but I fucking stand by it, because I'm correct, damn it. Maybe I will talk about that someday, but regardless. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this ramble, and I'll try and get back to work on my critique, alright? So, see you guys then. Peace. I've also noticed that Rebirth is red. Could that be referring to Genesis by any chance?